Well, GRC Mafia, excuse my puns and my dad jokes, but titled this, What in the World is MITRE Atlas? It's an AI framework that I've gotten kind of familiar with. And you may be asking, what in the world or who in the world are you? So my name is Cameron Gaudet. A lot of folks just call me Cam. Started into the cybersecurity studies and interests really fairly recently, back in September of 2023. Just a quick little bio about me. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. We all wear plenty of hats and have plenty of roles. Those are my two favorite. And relates to cybersecurity because shout out to my wife. Been incredibly supportive as I put resources and time and effort into these studies. And I know that's not always the case, but shout out to those of you who have that as well in your relationships and your partner. Dad of 3 rambunctious little boys. They've taught me a ton about this, or on this journey in studying cybersecurity. The biggest thing was realizing that I want to be able to tell them to follow their interests and invest their time and work hard for their interests. And so that was kind of a motivating factor for me early on of doing the same. Also, there's plenty of risk assessments that I'm sure all of you have done, but then there's another level, which is giving 1-year-old twins a bath. So it was not an acceptable risk. We split that up. I'm a people-centric professional, and what I mean by that is I love people. When it comes to the cybersecurity, the thing that really drew me in was the people, processes, and technology. And those are things I love. I come from a background, non-IT. It's millwright, general construction, some industrial equipment. And then, kind of stumbled across GRC Mafia and fell in love. I love the vastness that, cybersecurity is so vast as just a general industry, general study. And GRC Mafia, or GRC is plenty vast in and of itself. Just really fell in love with that, fell in love with this community, and really got intrigued by MITRE Atlas. So what is MITRE Atlas? It is a threat-informed approach and framework from the folks at MITRE to understand adversarial threats against AI systems. It's also an acronym, stands for Adversarial Threat Landscape for Artificial Intelligence Systems. And really what it is MITRE wanted to focus on building a framework or building a structure based on what we know to be actual attacks or what we know to be actual vulnerabilities. If you're familiar with the MITRE attack framework, this is very much based on that. But MITRE realized that there are things that are specific to AI systems, specific to AI operation or the way that AI works, that might not have been covered by the attack framework. So this is complementary to and maybe above and beyond the MITRE attack framework. And we'll see that in a little bit. We'll kind of jump on their site and you can see some of the notations of that, in their setup, that kind of hearkening back to the attack side of it. So there's 3 different major factors that MITRE was looking at when they're creating this atlas: the AI access time, training and inference. These are all 3 main characteristics of an adversary's path of attacks. The training and inference training stage being the collecting of the data, the training of the model, the inference stages once that model is deployed, right? So those are areas of attack. Those, whether you get a hold of the data at the beginning or once it kind of launches, once it goes that way. The AI access points, the digital or physical. The digital is like an API, right? That's kind of the digital side of the access points. And then the physical is when anytime it interacts, like anytime you and I use AI, anytime there's a user interaction with it, that's the physical aspect of that access points. And then the system knowledge, what the adversary knows about the machine learning components, the amount of information an adversary can know about the components of the system. This diagram really helped me kind of understand that, the white box and the black box of that system knowledge. You can kind of see that broken down there with the training data, the algorithm, and the trained model. So these are the 3 main concepts of where the attack space, or where the attack surface rather, initiates, and kind of the basis for MITRE here. So what is it based on? What is MITRE based on? Real world attack data. This is the thing that I really, really enjoyed about kind of just dipping my toes into this is it's based on actual attacks. So it's not just in theory, not just like good ideas or common thought. It's stuff that's actually based off of actual attacks. Now there's two different types of those. One is an exercise. So that's red teaming, kind of trying to break the system. And then obviously incident, which is an actual attack, like in the wild. And so that's what it's primarily based on. And focus of the MITRE Atlas is that it's based on the attack framework model. There's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of things within an AI system that are, we'll call them standard cybersecurity measures or cybersecurity practices. So there is some of that overlap. The tactics and techniques matrix, the AI ML threat focus, you can kind of see that there. The lifecycle integration I found incredibly fascinating. The Atlas framework aligns with that development life cycles for end-to-end security, including CRISP ML, which we'll kind of dive into just a little bit to kind of have that basis or foundation of kind of where these attacks come from or where they originate, kind of it chronologically for an AI system. And then the community-driven updates at MITRE and Atlas are very, very keen on case studies and having the community at large weigh in on those things. They have, you can report kind of a case study or you can report incidents which help them build this framework, build this library of information that makes up the Atlas framework. So that CRISP ML, so it's the cross-industry standard process model for the development of machine learning applications with quality assurance methodology. So basically it breaks it down for the formation of ML systems, kind of on the development side of it, right? And the thing that I found fascinating about the reason I wanted to kind of take a step back and see how these things are formed, like the process of creation, right? Is I firmly believe that the more you know about what something is, the better you know how to defend it, the better you know how to secure it, right? So you can see this, there's 6 different life cycle phases: business and data understanding, data engineering, machine learning, model engineering, quality assurance and deployment, monitoring and maintenance. And it's really in that monitoring and maintenance phase that the process will then start to kind of return to the earlier phases. I really liked this flow chart on the maybe your right or left side of the screen. That phase, one of these phases, the business and data understanding, define requirements and restraints, initiate step and task, et cetera, et cetera. Because as I think about it, for like, how is this practically going to be used in GRC setting or with a GRC mindset? And this is stuff that I think we're all really familiar with, these types of flowcharts or these types of questions being asked and kind of determining where our status is on these things. So I found that just incredibly fascinating. I will include at the kind of end of this discussion, I'll include some of the resources, including like more information, a paper that was published on this CRISP ML. If you're interested, if like me, you kind of want to dive down a little bit of a rabbit path there, rabbit trail, and just kind of see, a little bit how the sausage is made, as it were. All right, so exploring the matrix. There are 15 tactics, 115 techniques, 26 mitigations, and 32 case studies so far. MITRE has partnered with, I think last I had seen, or one of the latest interviews I had listened to, MITRE's partnered with over 150 different partners. Some of those are government agencies. Some of those are industry leaders in AI technology. Again, they really want to put an emphasis on, and I appreciate that, like the emphasis on the community-based nature of this, the community-based foundation for the MITRE Atlas framework here. And you'll see, you can just kind of see, we'll jump on the actual website here, but you can kind of see the different red ampersands. This is the Atlas MITRE website, right? So see the full Atlas matrix. You can see, let me kind of zoom in here a little bit. You can see how much this looks like the attack the attack setup, right? The MITRE attack, if you're familiar with it. If you're not familiar with the MITRE attack framework, I'm not going to dive into a lot of it right now, but I know for a fact there is a Try Hack Me room that's dedicated to it, to the MITRE attack framework, which is really phenomenal. It was kind of my basis or my foundation of even learning like what the heck is MITRE attack. But you can see here the different tactics and techniques. The tactics kind of being the what, the techniques obviously being the how. And we'll show a couple different things on here. One of the things I wanted to pop in is just to look at some of these. So these are the red ampersand are techniques that line up one for one with the attack. So if you're familiar with it, you'll have noticed, that there might be some familiarity with that. Some of these others that don't have that are the ones that have been created specifically for AI ML systems, kind of added on to the framework, the attack framework, as it were. So let's just I'm just going to do this one. Initial access, the techniques evade AI model. And you can see just clicking right into that, it kind of gives you a summary of it. Craft adversarial data that prevent an AI model from correctly identifying its contents. This is where we jump into the case studies and kind of how this came to be. So we'll just pop in. This one's really fascinating. You all might have heard of this, the camera hijack attack. I think it was 2018. I believe it was in China. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically people took attack actors took static photos that they had gathered or purchased animated them so that they could bypass facial recognition software, got into some tax systems, sent out tons of invoices for so-called clients, and over the course of 2 years collected $77 million. I think 2018 to 2020 is when they were eventually, kind of found out or caught. But that one's really quite an interesting story. And if we click into that, we can see kind of that breakdown. I'm going to go here for Microsoft Edge AI evasion. So this is a case study. You can see up here in the corner, it'll tell you if it's an exercise or an incident. So exercise meaning, red team, something that they were trying to break. Incident obviously being like attack, kind of originated attack from a threat actor there. The Azure red team performed a red team exercise on a new Microsoft product. So just kind of wanted to show this. It shows you through step by step the procedure. And if you were to issue, like an offering of a case study for MITRE Atlas, this is what they kind of asked for. They asked for kind of the step by step. This was done, this was done, this was done. Using the publicly available version of the ML model, the team started sending queries and analyzing the responses from the ML model. And it kind of walks you through step by step what transpired in this case study. You can download the data. The thing I thought was really cool from this is this navigation layer. So I'm going to show you guys this. View on Atlas Net. So this shows you within the MITRE attack framework where this technique or this case study, how it affects. Just kidding. Now are we seeing it? Now we're seeing it. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Shout out to Chris. It shows you kind of where with this case study would touch basically within the framework. And you can kind of see it through here. You can kind of get back into it, view technique by right clicking, view tactic, obviously the AI model access. And we'll just click back over to this. Actually, we're going to go here. All right. So I thought that was really cool. The navigation layer where it kind of maps it out across that attack framework. You can kind of see all the different tactics and techniques that specific case study touches, right? All right, so heading back into the matrix. Red pill or blue pill? Let's grab another one here just to kind of show you through it. And if anybody wants to see more of this, we can do obviously a bunch more of this in the Q&A side of it. I would just go in and start kind of playing around with it. Personally, that's what I did. I didn't have a lot of knowledge going into it. So I was probably a little slower as far as like carefully reading and understanding. Some of this stuff might be more familiar to some of you there. Let's see here. There was one, cloud service and discovery, familiar one from the attack framework. So again, it kind of walks through what it actually is, summary of it. Let's see here, case study, LLM jacking. So this was an incident, not a exercise. SysDig threat research team discovered malicious actors utilized stolen credentials to gain access to cloud-hosted large language models. You guys don't need me to read the screen. Yeah, so it could target a broad range of cloud services, including basically most of the cloud services you've heard of. That the worst case financial harm for unauthorized use could be up to $46,000 a day. This is updated as of April 2025. That's why I wanted to pull this one. This attack is ongoing and evolving. And again, it kind of walks you through it. It lists to the CVE, and it just walks you through those steps. The thing I thought was pretty cool, where was this here? All right, go back. Yeah, so if you want to go, here's the attack reference. So for instance, this one doesn't have the nice clean, here's a case study, here's a mitigation, right? As of April 2025, it's still ongoing. They're still trying to kind of get through it. But as we look at this Atlas attack, and I look at it as far as like, okay, how does this relate to potential GRC roles? This is telling you what needs to be included, right? This is telling you if you're going to create an AI policy, what needs to be involved. If you're going to list potential or possible incidents or attack surfaces, like where do you even start? This gives very good like detail of like, if you have this, here's an instance where that was exploited. And I love that. Like that's a very practical use. So again, this type of mitigations, this type of attack technique cannot be easily mitigated with preventive controls since it's based on the abuse of system features, but some of the detection possibilities. And that was all right within here. So right here at that attack reference area, it's all linked together. And I found that to be really beneficial for someone trying to figure things out, just how it's all interconnected, how it's all kind of linked up there on the Atlas site. Another thing, if you want to just go straight to it, is you can just look at all the techniques, and search for certain ones, or, hey, I need to know about this. Let's go look for that specific one. It's really organized quite well. Mitigations, same thing. You can filter by category. So I'm creating an AI policy. What do they have for mitigations, perhaps to include in an AI policy here? And then if you want, this is where I was saying, build a case study. If you were to come across something, if you're a developer and you come across something, or just experience something, like I keep saying, out in the wild, you can explore case studies. I think they kind of list them, like most recent at the top, working the way down. So this one, malicious models on Hugging Face, just a ton of information in here. I will say, I know there's the NIST AI RMF, which has a lot of detail in it. There's a bunch of other, frameworks that are kind of up and coming as well, or not up and coming, but developing, right? None of this is set in stone. MITRE Atlas is not set in stone. This technology is evolving. I like this part of it where we can be a little bit proactive with some of our security decision making, but it's going to keep changing. It's going to keep broadening. It's going to go from 115 techniques to twice that, probably fairly soon. That's not inside information. I just know how quick this technology is moving for use cases. And so I think that's going to showcase in just different incidents coming. But these are tangible steps. And I guess what I was getting at was, I think MITRE Atlas is the most, I say, mature framework. I would say robust, but AI has ruined that word for me. So we'll say mature framework that I have come across anyways, as far as the amount of detail that goes into it, the mapping together with the attack framework, all these case studies, all this input from all these different partners that MITRE Atlas have. And so let's see, I'm going to go back this. And so I just encourage everybody to try to play around with it, try to familiarize yourself with it, but also glean what you need from it. Like, as far as if somebody's asking you questions at your organization about AI policy, about specifics of AI security and what that would look like for you and your organization, like the chances are that if anybody has an answer to those questions, the chances are that it's probably probably here, in my opinion, at the very least. And I was thinking about it, like AI security often gets talked, analogy that popped in my head was it often gets talked a little bit like meal planning. If you're not one of the youngins or the youths, you probably have done a little bit of meal planning. I joke all the time, my kids just figure food shows up on their plate, right? But, a lot of AI security talk is just like, we need food, very, very broad, very, very general, or maybe like very, very specific. Like Tuesday, we are having beans and rice. But this kind of and maybe it's a crude analogy, but this kind of gives the full like meal planning of like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, lunch and dinner covered. Here's our groceries. We go to the store and we purchase these items off the shelf, right? To me, that's what this gives you as a security professional, as a GRC analyst or professional or lead, trying to create these things, because it can often feel, especially in AI security, can often feel like you're just starting from scratch. And this gives you a foundation where I think you don't really feel like you're starting quite from zero there. So case studies, we talked about that a little bit. Exercise versus incident, I think that's fairly self-explanatory. The case studies were included. This was on their site as well, but at least one of the following: range of attacks like the evasion, the poisoning, the model replication, range of personas. So an average user, security researchers, might be included on it. That would categorize there. Range of machine learning paradigms, attacks on different machine learning as a service, machine models hosted on the cloud, and then range of use cases, which is a AI system used in both security sensitive applications like cybersecurity, as well as non-security or non-sensitive applications like maybe chatbots, right? Oh, the other thing I did want to talk about, and then I'll kind of bring this to a close. We can just kind of have open discussion, which I'll be honest is the part I was looking forward to the most about this. I just hear myself rambling, right? I'm very interested to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this, on AI security in general. But one of the things that MITRE finds very important, or has emphasized as I was kind of researching some of this stuff, is AI assurance. If you take nothing else away from this entire talk, there's a link that we'll share for a document on AI insurance. And I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm just going to read it verbatim. MITRE defines AI insurance as a process for discovering, assessing, and managing risk throughout the life cycle of an AI-enabled system so that it operates effectively to the benefit of its stakeholders. And I think this is what I really see kind of we'll say the future to be, like when we're talking about security or AI security, is like that kind of trustworthiness, being able to establish, that assurance, that confidence in the life cycle of an AI. So I love flowcharts. They have this one in there, discover assurance needs, characterize and prioritize risk, evaluate risk, manage risk, and kind of that process there. And we're organizational integration, just kind of steps we can take from MITRE Atlas, the identifying vulnerabilities, the threat detection and response, risk management, compliance and regulatory alignment. Obviously in the States, we have less of the regulations in place or the hard and fast rules. There's a lot more voluntary frameworks or frameworks like MITRE Atlas but your organization might adhere to those. And then obviously you have the HIPAA, if you do anything with Europe, as far as the AI Act is now in effect, and the GDPR, some of these things touch AI compliance for sure. Standardized security practice, and then collective improvement and staying current. I'm not a practitioner at the moment. I plan to keep kind of playing around with MITRE Atlas and just honestly like checking back in on it occasionally too, because of these case studies, because of how it's built with these real world incidents or exercises. And we can, that kind of didn't turn out super great on that slide, but just some resources that I kind of come across as I put this together. Atlas Navigator, you saw that. I kind of like that, how it maps it out over like the Atlas framework within the attack framework. There's GitHub. There's a bunch of GitHub articles and such there. The AI Security 101 is a really fascinating document I came across. That bottom one, that AI Assurance, really, really, really love that. Really highly recommend that read. I thought that was really fascinating. Just some other information. It was kind of based on the NIST dioptra, if I'm saying that right. I thought was interesting. It's an open source software test platform developed by NIST, basically to trust or to assess the trustworthiness of AI or ML systems. I don't know how far along that process is. Maybe maybe Chris or PBO. I know you guys are much more up to date on this stuff. Can weigh in on that, but I thought that was fascinating. Like something putting things in place where we can test basically the trustworthiness of AI systems. I know I've seen a lot of people of late, kind of doing that themselves, like, hey, this model hallucinates less than this one or whatever. But like to have some sort of standard or idea would be really awesome. So that's pretty much all from me. Come on up, guys. Like, come on and join myself, ask your questions. Come on up and answer questions if you would like.